you. It's not in luck, in talent, or even in education. It is within you, buried beneath your conscious thoughts, and it holds the key to your wealth, your health, your love, and your destiny. The subconscious mind does not argue. It obeys. It accepts what you repeatedly tell it, especially with emotion. Whether you plant fear or faith, success or failure, abundance or lack, it will grow exactly what you give it. You are the master gardener of your mind. You are either planting weeds or you are planting seeds. The choice is yours, but you cannot escape the harvest. When you begin to auto-suggest success, confidence, gratitude, and belief, the subconscious begins to work like an unseen magnet, drawing into your world the very thing you dared to expect. The secret is not some mystical whisper. It's your repeated command, spoken with belief, backed with emotion, and fueled with repetition. Feed the subconscious your dream until it believes it, because once it believes it, it must create it. Imagine this. Every single result in your life, the money in your account, the relationships you have, the job you're doing, even your confidence or lack of it, isn't determined by chance, luck, or talent. It's determined by something you don't even think about consciously. That's right. It's determined by the silent partner in your mind, your subconscious. But here's what they never taught you in school. Your subconscious is always listening. It hears every thought you repeat. It absorbs every belief you affirm, whether it serves you or destroys you. And most people, they're unconsciously programming it with fear, doubt, and limitation. Every single day. What if I told you that your mind is a garden, and you, not fate, not your parents, not the world, are the gardener, and not just a casual one. No, you are planting seeds right now. Every single thought you think, especially those filled with emotion, is a seed. You might not see the result today, but make no mistake, the crop is coming. Let's talk about this first truth. Thoughts are the seeds, and your subconscious is the soil. The moment you repeatedly think a thought, especially one tied to deep emotion like anger, jealousy, excitement, or love, you plant it in the subconscious. And just like the richest soil on earth, your subconscious doesn't argue with what's being planted. It doesn't say, "This is a bad seed, let me reject it." No, it simply accepts. And what does soil do once a seed is planted? It grows it. It gives it energy. It nurtures it. And eventually it shows up in your reality. Now pause for a second. Imagine how dangerous that is. And how powerful. Most people spend their lives planting seeds of fear. I'm not good enough. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm always broke. I can't do that. They say these words casually, not realizing that every repetition is a planting. And the subconscious? It hears those statements as commands, not wishes, commands. So what happens next? Their reality obeys. On the other hand, the few people who understand this secret, they guard their thoughts like a vault. They understand that every single inner conversation is a seed. And if that seed is aligned with success, health, abundance, and belief, then the subconscious begins the process of growth. Think of your subconscious like a 24/7 construction worker. It's always building something. The only question is, what blueprint are you handing it? There's a silent force working in your life right now, whether you're aware of it or not. It doesn't ask questions. It doesn't judge. It just obeys. You could be thinking of success, and it'll move heaven and earth to make it happen. Or you could be silently doubting yourself every day, and this force will quietly sabotage everything you touch, and you won't even realize you gave it the order. That force is your subconscious mind. But here's where most people go wrong. They believe that success comes from massive action, discipline, hard work, and yes, those matter. But they're only part of the story. The real transformation, it begins when your subconscious accepts a new identity, when it's no longer trying to be successful but believing it already is. And how do you install that belief? That's where the real magic happens. Let's talk about a truth very few people fully understand. Repetition turns a wish into a subconscious command. One sentence repeated once might sound like a motivational line, but that same sentence said with conviction and repetition becomes a command your subconscious cannot ignore. And once it becomes a command, it starts shaping your behavior, your instincts, and even your luck. That's right. What most people call luck is often just the subconscious guiding them toward the opportunities they expect. You want to know why affirmations seem silly to some people? Because they say them once or twice and expect fireworks. But the subconscious is not a machine that flips on in one try. It learns through patterns, through consistency, through repetition. That's why the most deeply rooted beliefs you have about your worth, your money, your relationships were built not in one day, but over time, maybe even since childhood. Think about it. If you spent 10 years hearing you're not good enough or money is hard, do you really think saying I am successful 3 times will undo all that? No, it takes repetition, powerful emotional repetition, to rewire the brain and reprogram the subconscious. Repetition isn't about saying something mindlessly. It's about saying it until it becomes your truth, until it doesn't feel like a sentence anymore. It feels like a reality. That's when the subconscious accepts it. And once it accepts it, the entire system changes. You don't just hope for success, you expect it. And when expectation meets preparation, the world bends in your favor. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. A person who wants to become a confident speaker may start with fear. They stutter, they hesitate, they sweat. But if they wake up every day and say, I speak with power, my voice has impact, over and over, even if they don't believe it at first, a strange shift begins. Day after day, repetition creates familiarity, and what the subconscious becomes familiar with, it begins to accept. One day, that person walks on stage and suddenly, it's not fear anymore, it's flow, because repetition has reshaped the identity. Now here's the key. Your subconscious doesn't care what you repeat. If you constantly say, I'm always tired and I can't focus, nothing ever works out for me, then guess what? That repetition becomes your blueprint. The subconscious says, got it, let me make that true. And it does, without fail. That's why people feel stuck. It's not because they're broken. It's because their inner repetition is working against them. If you want to change your outer world, you have to change the inner conversation you're repeating every day. Because repetition is not optional. You're already doing it. The only question is, what message are you repeating? Now let's connect that to another undeniable truth. Whatever you accept as true becomes your reality. You've been living with a powerful, invisible partner your whole life, one that never rests, never sleeps, and never forgets. But most people never learn how to use it. They drift through life thinking they're in control, when in reality they're being controlled by a silent operator inside their own mind. That operator is your subconscious, and today you're going to understand how it truly works, and more importantly, how it's been working against you without your permission. Let me make something clear. The subconscious does not reject. It only accepts. That's a dangerous truth if you don't know how to use it. But it's a life-altering key once you do. You might think you're safe because you only joke about failure, or you only occasionally say things like, I'm not good at this, or I can't ever focus. But guess what? The subconscious doesn't understand just joking. It doesn't analyze. It doesn't reason. It doesn't argue. That's the fifth truth. The subconscious cannot reject. It only accepts. It's like fertile soil that accepts every seed you plant, whether it's poison or power. It hears your thoughts, your self-talk, your repeated phrases, your emotional patterns, and it says, okay, if that's what you keep telling me, I'll believe you. Now imagine what that means for someone who constantly talks about how tired they are, how unlucky they are, how difficult life is. Their words may seem harmless on the surface, but they are programming commands to the subconscious. And since it doesn't reject, it only accepts, it begins reshaping reality to match those statements. You feel more tired, you run into more obstacles, you miss more opportunities, not because of fate, but because your subconscious was told to create that reality, and it obeyed. Let's go even deeper. The subconscious doesn't care whether something is right or wrong. It doesn't ask, "Is this thought useful?" It simply records and responds. So if you tell yourself, "I'll never succeed," the subconscious says, "Understood." If you say, "I always bounce back," it says, "Got it." The subconscious is like a loyal servant that takes every command seriously, whether whispered or screamed, sarcastic or serious. That's why your inner voice matters more than any motivational speech. You could listen to the best advice in the world, but if your internal voice keeps repeating negativity, the subconscious won't choose the better path. It will stick to what you repeat the most. Now think about how this works in real life. A person might say, "I can't lose weight," over and over. They try diets, they go to the gym, but inside they've already given the command, "I can't." So the subconscious ensures that effort leads to failure, not because the diet was wrong, but because the mind was already conditioned to expect loss. The command was already accepted. And the same rule applies to success. If you keep saying, "Opportunities find me," or "I'm becoming wealthier every day," the subconscious does not question the logic. It doesn't say, "Wait, do you even have money right now?" No, it simply accepts. And once it accepts, it starts aligning everything around you to support that command, whether through intuition, focus, or new behavior patterns. So here's the hard truth. If you don't intentionally feed your subconscious, it will accidentally feed on the wrong thoughts. And once it accepts those thoughts, they become the foundation of your life. Which brings us to the next truth. Your outer world mirrors your inner programming. This is not just a nice quote. It's a law. Your life, your habits, your income, your relationships, even your level of peace is a reflection of the story your subconscious is running in the background. Change the story and the reflection, and must change. You've been told to believe it when you see it. But the truth is, your subconscious flips that idea on its head. In the world of the mind, you see it when you believe it. And the belief must be so strong, so convincing, that the subconscious cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. That's the secret the world's top achievers understand, and what keeps everyone else stuck in a loop of hesitation, fear, and failure. The subconscious doesn't wait for proof. It doesn't wait for your goals to manifest before it gets to work. It starts the moment you give it a firm, emotional, repeated message. That's why the seventh truth is this: you must speak as if it already is, not as if it might be. There's a world of difference between saying, "I hope I succeed," and "I am already on the path to success." One is weak, uncertain, full of doubt. The other is clear, direct, and powerful. And to the subconscious, clarity is command. When you speak in future tense, you leave room for uncertainty. You tell your subconscious that the result is optional. But when you speak in present tense with belief, you're giving it a directive, a job to fulfill. Most people don't realize this. They speak their dreams with hesitation. "I wish I could start a business. Maybe one day I'll be confident. Hopefully I'll get lucky this year." That kind of language may sound harmless, but to your subconscious, it's a signal that you don't really believe it yet. And if you don't believe it, why should your mind work to make it real? Now look at someone who speaks their goals like facts. "I'm building a successful business. I speak with impact. I attract new opportunities daily." These aren't affirmations. They're declarations. They're not hopes. They're decisions. That difference changes everything. This principle is used by athletes, CEOs, creators, leaders. They train our minds to speak only in the language of certainty, not because they're arrogant, but because they understand how the subconscious works. If you want your outer life to transform, your inner world must already be living in that transformation. Let me make this simple. Your subconscious is like a GPS system. If you enter maybe somewhere near success, the system won't move. But if you enter a clear destination, I am becoming wealthier each day. The subconscious begins making silent calculations to get you there. It changes how you speak, how you act, what risks you take, what ideas come to you. When you speak as if your goals are already happening, you are pre-installing confidence. And confidence is the magnet that draws results. You're telling your subconscious, this is who I am now, and it adjusts everything to match. Your posture changes, your tone changes, your focus sharpens, and the world around you begins to respond. But it goes deeper than that. When you consistently speak your future as if it's already your present, you're bypassing doubt. You're bypassing fear. You're stepping into identity, and identity is everything. That brings us to the eighth truth. Fear and doubt are weeds that choke your harvest. You can plant the right seeds. You can water them with emotion and repetition. But if fear and doubt creep in, and you let them stay, they will wrap around your dreams and squeeze the life out of them. They are mental weeds. And like any weed, they grow fast, they grow silently, and they don't need permission. Let's be real. Fear is not the enemy. Staying in fear is. Everyone feels it. But if you constantly rehearse worst-case scenarios in your mind, you're training your subconscious to expect failure. And it does not reject. It accepts. If your most repeated thought is, what if this goes wrong? The subconscious doesn't ask for evidences. And it starts preparing you for loss. It closes off your creativity. It tightens your body. It blurs your intuition. There's a hidden lever in your mind, and if you learn how to pull it, you can bend reality in your favor. But ignore it, and you'll keep repeating the same patterns, no matter how hard you work. This lever isn't some complicated system or mystical force. It's a technique that's been used by the most powerful minds in history. It's called autosuggestion. And once you understand it, you'll realize you've been programming your future all along, only without intention. Let's get straight to the ninth truth. Autosuggestion is the tool to rewire your subconscious. Autosuggestion simply means feeding your subconscious deliberate, repeated, emotionally charged instructions. It's not about wishful thinking. It's not about saying, I'm rich once and expecting the universe to deliver cash. No. Autosuggestion is the process of planting specific commands into your subconscious through focused repetition, spoken with belief, backed by feeling, and aligned with vision. You've already been using autosuggestion your entire life. The problem is, you've been doing it unconsciously. Every time you say, I'm so unlucky, or I mess things up, or I'm just not good with people, you're practicing autosuggestion. The subconscious listens, it accepts, and then it carries out the plan exactly as instructed. The power of autosuggestion lies in its simplicity. Say something enough times with enough emotion, and the subconscious locks it in as truth. Once it believes it, it begins to act on it. You'll notice your behavior shift. You'll find yourself making decisions that match that belief, almost without trying. That's not coincidence. That's programming in action. Let me show you how powerful this is. Take someone who uses the statement, I attract the right people into my life. They say it daily, with conviction, with gratitude, not just reciting it, but feeling it. Their subconscious accepts it. What happens next? They begin to notice new people around them. They feel more confident in conversations. They carry themselves differently, and soon they're surrounded by people who elevate them. Same person, different inner command. Different inner command, different reality. That's the magic of autosuggestion. It bridges your current self with your future self. It's the tool that removes doubt and replaces it with certainty. It's the daily practice of reminding your subconscious who you are becoming, until it no longer doubts it, but accepts it fully. But here's the catch. Autosuggestion only works when it's specific, repeated, and emotionally charged. Saying, I want to be successful is vague. It's weak. It doesn't move the subconscious. But saying, every day, I am becoming a confident, focused leader who creates wealth and impact. And saying it with energy, with belief, with emotion, that lands, that reprograms. And you don't just say it in the morning and forget it. You carry it, you live it, you feel it. You say it during silence, before bed, when you walk, when you doubt, especially when you doubt. Because doubt is where the old programming tries to fight back. That's where auto-suggestion becomes a weapon.